Hello, learners. In today's session, we're going to look at sticks and stillness, or in other words, we're going to inquire, think, and reflect. How can we pivot the learning environments we find ourselves in, whether it's at school or at home, in order to truly engage and build that sense of wonder and curiosity in our young learners? So, first and foremost, let's agree on some things. Children are unique. Children are capable. Children are competent. They're creative. They're simply everything. And they speak so many more than one language. And that essential agreement for me has come from Loris Malaguzzi, one of the founding fathers of Reggio Emilia approach. For you, those essential agreements may come from conversations with your teams and with your colleagues. Make sure you have them. Now, throughout this session, we're going to look at a variety of things. And every time I present an idea or pose a question or a provocation or just a thinking prompt, I would like you to think how it connects to what you already know and what you already understand and believe about early years and early years environments. What is it there that I say that extends your thinking and your current understandings? And finally, what challenges you and challenges your thinking, maybe puts you in that tension or that stretch zone that we all strive for when we learn new things. So, first of all, where is my inspiration coming from and how I would like to inspire you today? It's in the understanding of the image of the child. Because the environments we construct and whatever we build for children, if it's not built with the children we have in our care in mind, whether it's at their homes or schools, it will never meet their needs. So it's increasingly important nowadays to start with the relationships before we turn to play and environments as we're setting up these conditions for ultimate learning. So, what happens first and foremost? If you are PYP practitioners, you hear all the time about learning through play and how relationships and environments support that. It's true, but when we create environments for learning, we have to ask ourselves, who do those environments belong to? When we condition for play in our classrooms, we always have to ask ourselves, whose play is it going to be? Is it going to be my play on my rules and my conditions with my resources within a time frame I had given my students? Or will this be a play that I simply allowed time and space for, but children took its course? Now, as we design for wonder and curiosity in our classrooms, there are things to consider. And again, if you are a PYP practitioner, you are looking again at relationships, play, and environment. And these three are always repetitive in our principles into practice. I want to take your attention and draw it to other elements. First and foremost, sustainability. How is that environment going to support you, your colleagues, parents at home, the child, in a way that's not going to empty anybody's pocket or a budget, in a way that's not going to destroy or impact negatively our planet through the tons of plastic we're going to be bringing in and burning through. And lastly, sustainability as a way we curate our environment. So the way we look at things and look at their multi-purpose, flexibility, adaptability, opportunities for upcycling, recycling. And lastly, and definitely not least importantly, the dialogue we have with all our resources and the things that happen when children interact with those resources and how we document that dialogue, how we make that visible for the learning community, for the children. Because through documenting that dialogue, through engaging in that dialogue in the first place, we're showing our learners what they say, their voices, their choices matter. And that's how we build and support their agency. Now, as we engage, whether as parents or educators, in the play that's happening in the environments we're setting up, we have three roles. We are there to observe, we are the researcher of the child. We truly strive to understand what we're seeing without making assumptions. And we reflect how the understandings we made and the observations we gather, the data, the anecdotal records, the photographic, the video evidence, how that impacts our further planning. Those of you who are still on their journeys of understanding, there is a beautiful book, Art of Awareness. I do recommend it, that talks about those moments of stillness where we just pause and we listen and we take notes, and then we don't make assumptions based on our notes. We actually take those notes back to the children and we ask if what I saw was correct, if what I heard led me to understand a particular thing. So we offer children genuine curiosity. And only once we've had conversations with children, once we've asked, once we've listened, documented their voice and interpretation of what it really means, then we seek action. And that action then translates into how we set up environments for the children. So from sticks to stillness, we've talked about stillness a little bit. Now, where did the sticks come from? Well, they come predominantly from my favorite part of learning environments, and that is loose parts. We're going to unpack loose parts in a moment, but other than loose parts is your willingness to set up invitations and provocations, which means the way you set up and curate learning environments will either invite curiosity, provoke and challenge children's thinking, will offer an opening. It will not be a close-ended area where all you can do is make puzzles or play this game or draw this picture or color this page. Now, the other thing I mentioned before is giving children time to truly explore the invitations and provocations you're setting up, and then to document them in those environments. Now, where do sticks come from? Sticks can come from outdoor exploration, morning walks with children, whether it's in the school backyard or in the school sports field or at home or even on our balcony and seeing what wind has brought us overnight, but spending time allowing children to explore what nature has brought us and collecting those elements. Very often, when we work with parents, we encourage them to have a wonder bag, a small bag that they take on their walks with children every time they go out in the nature. Now, second thing, where do these sticks and leaves come from? We already know. Now, how are they applied? These are some photos from our children's homes as they're making their first attempts at art with loose parts and natural elements. And as you can see, there is time and there is measurements being done and there are houses being designed, and it's all happening with sticks and leaves. Now, documenting that is a huge part of learning because it extends everything the children do. It gives us gravitas. It gives children that feeling of importance. And every question is documented and doesn't go unnoticed, every wondering. Again, leaning into what nature has to offer us and how we arrange our documentation, even there, modeling that names can be written with leaves and they can be hanging in our classroom on shelves and suspensions made of sticks. So, really bringing those natural components. Now, what are some of my favorite school hacks? When it comes to loose parts, you can never go wrong because they offer so many opportunities and possibilities. They're so adaptable. As you can see here in that brief example, the real wooden block can be anything. It's got endless, unlimited opportunities and possibilities for play, interpretation, and use. The plastic cucumber slice can only be that. And even there, our children hack them into something else and then they will pretend they're a coin. But we have to think to ourselves, how is it sustainable for our classrooms and how is it really good for the environments we're in? So, how can we extend our classrooms? First and foremost, I encourage you to look at sustainable environments. Those will predominantly be outdoors based, bringing those to the classroom. And this is a book that's offering an amazing inspiration for that. And all four parts of Loose Parts books are great, but this one in particular for what we're looking at here, meaning sustainable environments based on loose parts that are just collected on our walks and they don't have to be outsourced in a way that in any way impacts our budget. So any Other ways of extending your classroom are looking for any outdoor components your school or community has to offer, whether it's a small garden, whether it's a balcony, whatever that would be. This is a way for you to extend your classroom, to physically and quite literally open its doors. Whether it's a living room where your kids are learning, whether you have a classroom on a ground floor that can open up to a patio, just extend your classrooms to those new opportunities. Collect and bring things to the classroom. So much more in there. Looking at symmetry, looking at science, looking at things, how are they made and how the world works. All of these themes can come into play when you explore nature and its elements. As you can see here, children are drawing and observing and doing observational drawing and being part of our documentation. They're noticing patterns, a lot of things at play mathematically, scientifically, and in terms of art and recognition of lines and elements. Then extending with, I've shown you a lot of loose parts and things that are based in nature, but also recyclables, 3Rs: reduce, reuse, recycle. We are building this understanding in our children that every box is an opportunity. It's not just the box, it's not just a stick. For those of you who know the books I'm talking about, these offer so many more things and openings and invitations. These here are frames we're building for a classroom documentation panel from an old cardboard box that some of our toys arrived in. And look at that creativity and passion and drive, because it's theirs, it's their environment that they're going to be bedazzling with that. And that sense of ownership you're giving children when you give those projects over to them is like no other. Now, as we bring loose parts into the classroom, we can look at curation. How can we arrange those in a beautiful way that will invite further learning? What can we do with those places? And not just natural parts. If you have devices that are falling apart, if you have obviously safe ones that don't contain poisonous chemicals or metals, if you have any elements in the classroom that would no longer be used, would be decommissioned, always ask yourself, how can we repurpose them? Always look for extra opportunities. That's what it means when we say, let's be sustainable. Let's think of reducing, reusing, and recycling or upcycling elements. So, tinkering area can be based on everything parents have at home that they would no longer use and that can be easily set up at home and in the classroom. Now, specifically home hacks now, as our children are finding themselves more and more often with parents at home during distance learning, home hacks are all about blending environments where children can be flowing in and out of different spaces, but always having a designated area that speaks to them in each of the spaces, whether it's a corner of a living room with an extra pillow and a book basket, whether it's an area in the kitchen where they have a smaller table and a smaller stool where they can mix ingredients such as water and flour. It's just about setting up environments that meet the needs of parents and children alike. And while being in these environments, modeling for children and providing access. Very often parents want readers, but they're not willing to offer reading to children, meaning that children don't really see them parents engaged in a book or engaged with a newspaper or any kind of print. It's key that we give them those opportunities. It's key that we create areas in the houses or in the, again, back in the classrooms that we want the kids to be engaging in, whether it's mathematical, linguistic, scientific play. And by creating these opportunities, however small they might be, we're showing children again, you matter, you are seen, and we welcome you in this environment. So, thinking of collecting things outside, bringing them home, and repurposing the containers we have, repurposing the things we would normally use, like icicle sticks or pegs or screws or bolts or your old IKEA equipment, just to give kids those opportunities to start. And being constantly in dialogue with the children and with the parents as partners in that teaching and learning, because some of these stories, some of these amazing plays and show and tells would never be captured if parents wouldn't take a snapshot and wouldn't help us put it on Seesaw, on Story Park, on Toddle. So constantly being in dialogue with parents as our partners. Now, I've presented you with quite a few ideas there. moving around sustainability, moving around new opportunities through invitations, and predominantly using loose parts and looking at how that can pivot the learning environments we're in. Now, I wonder to hear from you on this discussion. How did you connect to that information? What part of that is already close to what you know and believe? How that information extended what you already know and understand? And perhaps how I've challenged you and what you know and understand about early learning and environments that support wonder, curiosity, and that genuine play that leads to transferable learning. I'm curious to hear from you in the chat and in the following discussions. Thank you.
Several people here raising up their hands, but in the chat, Tiffany just said, do you have any suggestions to connect with nature when parents are still not allowing their child to go outside? We are currently still conducting online learning. So that's a question that is quite important right now. So what's your take in that, Aga?
We've done our work with early years for the past 18 months at homes. Like, we've done everything we could do for our families to become more open to the fact that plants are the best buddies for the little buddies, right? Meaning that if you need a soothing moment, if you need to calm down, green is your color, beige is your color, natural textures, natural patterns are your thing. And we've encouraged our parents, whether it was balconies or it was just patios or kitchen counters, to have little carrots planted, spring onions planted, whatever was left of the salad table planted, and then you can see whether it thrives or dies. And you have your inquiries into how the world works and how plants follow in their cycle of life or death. So we've done a lot around that, making sure that there is a green space around the house. We've shared with our community, and this year again, just weeks ago, research that would explain that for children to grow into self-care patterns and also grow more resilient, connecting with nature is one of the 3 things you do every day. So it's not just time for stillness, it's not just time to reconnect with oneself, but it's time to reconnect with nature. And we've proposed that to our families as one of the 3 non-negotiables for this year. So we've spent a lot of time educating our families around benefits of potted plants and veggie gardens and any attempts at green thumb action.
Wonderful. Thank you, Aga. For the rest, guys, if you want to just say it to her, to ask any questions or to share something that works for you, this is not just us asking Aga what she would do, but also sharing what we would do. So I can see Elaine just raised her hand. So please share what you got.
Hi. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aga, I was just thrilled to hear the word sustainability in your video just now. And because that's something that I'm really passionate about as well when talking to children and when playing with children, not just young children, but also older students as well, and having that sustainability mindset. And I'm wondering if you could share probably a little bit about that. What do you see in children's responses and development in terms of the development of a sustainability mindset? How do you see them responding to thoughts, conversations, things like that? I'm just curious about that because of for several reasons, but I can share some about that later.
So I can look at it from 2 perspectives. One, early years practitioner, and another one, makerspace facilitator. And I will start kind of from a older end with a makerspace facilitator. As part of our design process and what we talk to children about and with children in conversations about the choice of material for your next project or for you're going to be doing next, we actually ask our grade 1s and up, is this ethical? How you're going to use this, what you're going to turn it into. Is this wasteful? Is it, conducive to anything useful? And we ask the question, is it ethical? Why are you using it? Why are you using this much? And all that. So we're engaging kids in these very serious conversations and they rise up to the challenge. I don't think they're ever too young for a good conversation where they feel they're a partner. And for the little ones, we've always asked them, how is that caring? And we ask 3 kind of layers to it. How is that caring to you, the way you're going to use a particular material or your choice of materials? How is it caring to others? And then the 3rd layer, the biggest circle, how is it caring to our world, the planet, right? The environment. So we go back to caring, and then them understanding, well, if I use this plastic piece here and I'm going to use it only once and then it gets thrown because my project will never, for example, turn into something else, or it's a mini world I'm going to abandon after 3 days, but I've put so much Play-Doh in it and some Lego blocks and something else as well, and it's going to get chucked. What is it doing? What is it doing good for? So we do have these conversations and reflections around the things they do with materials and how they choose them.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. I'm super glad to hear that. Do you have any, I guess, connections in terms of conversations around, I guess that would go into it as well. I'm thinking around the sustainability compass, right? How connections are made to economy and nature, of course, but also to our well-being and to society or ourselves. So that's where I think I can hear you're making those connections when you say, how do you care for others and for the world? It's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you, Elaine. Is there any other person who would like to ask or share how they do it, or any other ideas that they might have that connect to what Aga shared? Something that I was thinking about is, how do you get parents on board? Because it sounds really progressive to get parents to let their kids learn through loose parts. And in many of our environments in international schools, parents pay big amounts of money for that, for progressive education. But how can we bring that into other environments?
I'm curious to hear how other schools and colleagues are doing. I will say that we've spent a lot of time educating our parents, and we spend a lot of time meeting with our parents and offering different tips and tricks. And a lot of our parents appreciated the fact that while being in lockdown, they didn't have to go on various shopping platforms to kind of sustain their learning environments by buying plastic counters and whatnot. And we, at the same time, we were very opposed, and that was kind of polarizing for our community, to sending packs of resources home. We didn't want to do that because we didn't want to send the wrong message that learning only happens if you have a counter, a whiteboard, and a set of markers and crayons. So we took a stance that some people found shocking in our, community of 20 plus international schools in Kuala Lumpur. What we did do instead, we had multiple sessions with our parents where we shared kits around how to collect loose parts, how to grow collections of cartons, bottle caps, bottles and string, whatever the kids would need to their heart's delight for further construction and repurposing. And we've given them tutorials and different kits and ebooks of every angle kind of media we could go at our parents from, just to make sure the message was triangulated about sustainable environments at home. Similar things to what I'm doing here, but more specifically about how to be a curator, how to really grow your banks of things, how to lay them out for kids, how to create these provocations and invitations. And to the point where we had kids in younger grades, obviously 3-year-olds to 6-year-olds that it was originally intended to, that had older siblings. And we had parents coming back to us and saying, hey, can you make this tutorial for grades 2 and up so I can see what I can do with loose parts for my 4th or 5th grader? And we did that as well. So if you pat me on the shoulder on Twitter or on Insta, I'm happy to share the ebooks we collected and we then made as an available resource to our parent community, both with the younger year focus and with the upper elementary. So definitely there to share.
All right, great. So guys, now something that we haven't done before here at Teashares, something that we were very excited about and kind of kept it as a bit of a surprise. Now we're gonna send you into breakout rooms so that you can chat and actually meet each other. You're gonna be in there for 10 minutes, and then you're gonna come back with some ideas, with some findings, with some new and inspiring thoughts. And we will have 15 more minutes of discussion with Aga and the rest. Okay, guys? So be teachers who share, and off you go.
So it was just interesting to listen to some of the challenges that other colleagues have got. I'm very fortunate to be in a school that's face to face, but yeah, it is a huge challenge for those of us who are still, the other colleagues who are still online with an early years environment. It's like,
Absolutely.
an eye-opener. Yeah.
Where are you at the moment?
In France.
Nice. So you are full on at school, right?
Yes, with so there's in a kind of hybrid model. So if there are any cases, then classes close down. But touch wood, we've been very lucky so far.
Great. Thank you. Did you enjoy the breakout room conversation then? Was it a good choice? Okay, great.
Yeah, no, that was good.
Great. How about the rest, guys? Would you like to share any ideas that that other people came up with, or some interesting conversation that you were part of? Just raise your hand and I'll unmute you or ask you to unmute yourself. Here we go, Tiffany.
I think one of the good things about these small breakout rooms is we were able to find out what was happening all around the world. And it's different for a lot of people, but we do have one common denominator, and that is parent involvement and participation. Because I think most of them are still very anxious of the situation. And if you're living in Southeast Asia, we're still in lockdown, we're still conducting online learning. So it's just, we're not looking to open pre-primary schools until the next academic year right now. And most of them are not even allowing their kids to walk past the front gate. So it's a real challenge to get the parents involved. And they're not parents who are used to having, who are used to looking after their own child. They're parents who have nannies. So this is the first time they've actually ever looked after their own kid. So it's been quite the challenge. And it's nice to hear like people from like Michelle, she's in France. And I think we had, I forgot her name, I'm really sorry, from Uzbekistan, but she's had on and off face-to-face, and it's been really nice to hear what they're able to do. It makes us kind of jelly as well, but all we can do is try to absorb as much as I can from Teashares today to see if I can implement any of these things. So thank you again for today.
Great, wonderful, Tiffany. Thank you very much for sharing how you felt. That makes all this worth it, right? When people connect and when people help each other. That's the whole point of doing this. Any other person who would like to share how they felt or anything, any conversation they had? We have some people joining a bit late, but joining, which is great. Anna, there we go.
Yes, hi everyone. I wanted to share that my experience in the breakout room. I really enjoyed talking to Rina and Kavita, and thank you so much, ladies, for the inspiration, because I'm just a beginner in PYP and in Reggio Emilia approach. So I feel really inspired and excited. We're about to implement this program in our kindergarten and primary school, which I've just joined. And well, the problem that's challenge that I think I will have is to get parents on board, because the approach that we are using now is content based, and there is a lot of resources, quite expensive ones, that are imported from the United States. Well, I'm based in Russia, by the way. Yeah, so in Russian context, like parents pay quite a lot of money for this content-based education. So, and we're gradually moving towards concept-based. So I got some ideas from Kavita and Rina how to like try and get the parents on board, and like they told me, like, first of all, to present the program to the parents. They need to know what is going to be taught and what their children are in for. And also Rina had a great idea about morning coffee with parents once a month. That's what they are doing currently at their school, where we try to get the parents on board and share with them. And that idea that I heard during the recording, a wonder bag, where we could encourage parents together with children to assemble loose parts and different kinds of materials and bring them into school or work with them at home. So yeah, thank you so much. And I feel it's my first time participating, and I look forward to meetings like this. And thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your ideas and for welcoming new teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your ideas and for being so honest about it. That's what makes it organic, right? So that's great. Anyone else? Any other risk taker, courageous person who would like to just say, hey, we talked about this and it was bad, it was good, we enjoyed it, we didn't. Come on, guys, we can do this.
Sorry, can I just help Anna out here? Anna, if you want to put your email address in the chat, I can send you an information pack or an evening presentation that we gave to parents, and you can kind of get some ideas from it or maybe steal some of the slides, just to start you off. So stick your email in the chat.
Great. Thank you, Kira. Thank you very much. About connecting after the call, we'll send a couple of links where you can join, and then I'll also get you follow-up email, guys, in which if you want, you can just be in touch with one another. And yeah, I think who else is raising up their hands? Kira, would you like to maybe share your ideas after the conversation, now that you are
Sure. Yeah, in our group, we Nora interestingly brought up about dolls, which I had never thought about before, which is chucking out the dolls, the normal dolls, and introducing dolls with just eyes, so they've no facial expression, because she found that, you know, all the dolls look happy all the time, which is really unrealistic. If anybody knows any baby in the world, they are, well, they smile a lot, but they also do a lot of other things and express other emotions. So I thought that was really interesting about how, you know, just having the eyes and not the facial expression, you know, inspired the children to wonder what the baby could be feeling. So that was my takeaway.
Great. Thank you, Kira. Thank you very much. I don't know how this happened, but we have about 5 minutes left. Is there any other person who would like to share their ideas, or any burning questions that you might have for people to give you their perspectives, and maybe other people who just want to connect with other teachers, like-minded teachers? We can do that too. See other risk takers around here. Maybe we can ask Aga how she felt about something she had never done before, and she agreed upon without knowing how this was going to be. So Aga.
Well, it's been fabulous, as always, when I meet new learners and a new community. So I hope this is not the first time I'm looking at you lovely people, and I will see you in other verses, whether it's Twitter, Insta, or wherever we are, or perhaps in another session here. But just listening to my breakout room community and the struggles and some turbulations that they may have with various stakeholders, the buy-in from parents, buy-in from admin, understanding. Like, what I found helpful over the years is really owning the research that's out there and making it work for you. And there's so much beautiful research from Harvard developing, you know, the Center of Developing Child, and from Stanford on child development, brain development. You know, there's so much good stuff that we can turn into our forte and know how to use it with skill with our stakeholders. If you haven't found your pool of research to share with your parents, whether it's on play or on brain development or nature or any of this, just let us know, and I'm sure we'll be happy to share and just give you links to our favorite things. And I know for sure I can do that for you because I have quite a few curated collections on how to convince parents to the benefits of play, how to do that with your leadership and all that. So give me a holla wherever you are, and I'll make sure to share my collections.
Wonderful. I got actually one of the things we could do apart from sharing it on Twitter and also personally through emails is that we could post it on our Teashares Facebook group, and we have about 900 people there who've joined these sessions. The first time we did this was about a year and a half ago, and it's always had the same atmosphere in a way, right? It was not formal. People were just chatting and at the same time trying to support each other, and I think that's one of the reasons why people come back. Here I just posted that in the chat, so the Facebook link is there, and then you can also follow Teashares on Twitter and maybe share your experience on Twitter if you use it using the hashtag Teashares or Young Inquirers. I wanted to share before we go to the next session, and I'm going to also paste the link to the next session in the chat in case you haven't signed up. I wanted to share a bit more about what we do at Teashares. We're all educators from different parts of the world, and the whole point of this is teachers who share their ideas, but also teachers who take action to spread best practices and make them impact as many children as possible, right? And yeah, these sessions are great, but we also do projects. We also do projects in different countries to try to democratize good practices, right? So many of us are fortunate to have had amazing professional development opportunities and also learned from great educators around the world. But I want you guys to stop for a moment and bear in mind that we are the lucky ones. So now what we want to do with Teashares is to start planting seeds around the world. Right now, at the moment, our projects are in Vietnam, in Bermuda, and in Spain, but these are just the first 3 seeds, right? So if you know of a certain community of children or teachers who might benefit from being involved in one of our projects, please reach out and we will figure out how to make it happen, okay? So how you can do it is just to type, if you just type teashares.com, there's a contact us section in which you can send us an email, or you can send me an email personally, and we can have a chat and see how we can get our community to work and connect some dots and get some people to help other kids who are not as fortunate as us. So yeah, guys, my email is juancarlos@teashares.com, and also you can just type teashares.com and you will find it. So let me share with you the link to the next conversation, which is led by Elaine, who is also part of this conversation. If you haven't signed for that yet, here's the link. And please share your feedback with us. That makes a big difference. We're learning all the time. Be honest, even if that means I want more breakout room and less blah blah blah. Okay, great. We can learn from that too. Yeah, guys, I'm glad that you decided to join, to take some time and learn with us. And I'll see you next time or in the next conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Juan Carlos.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.